Hello everyone, my name is Cliff Mercer and I'm the SVP of Engineering at Aerospike. I'd like to talk to you today about our roadmap and the product releases we have planned. We released Aerospike Database 6.0 in April. This release includes secondary indexes with partition queries and pagination, and the query system is tolerant of cluster rebalancing. We've also unified the query interface in this release. This is part of our secondary index epic, which included memory management optimizations in 5.7, and we have a couple of other releases in that epic coming up as well to support warm start with secondary indexes, and following that, the all-flash and PMEM support for secondary indexes. In 6.0, we support indexing top-level fields of documents. Documents in Aerospike are stored in one of the collection data types, CDTs, typically as key-ordered maps. In our next server release, we will support indexing through all levels of nesting in our document API, which establishes Aerospike as a first-class document database. Additionally, in this 6.0 release, we support batch writes, which enables the client to send multiple writes to the server to be processed together. This is very beneficial in terms of efficiency and performance for those operations in the server, as well as efficiency in the network. Previously, we supported batching for the GET request, the exists request, the GET-header request, and the operate request. The delivery of the batch writes capability completes our support for batching of all of these different types of operations in the server. The 6.0 release provides support for FIPS 140-2. This is for our customers in the U.S. federal government space. FIPS 140-2 requires the use of certified versions of SSL and prohibits the use of unapproved algorithms for cryptographic use. We have implemented the requirements for FIPS 140-2 certification in 6.0, and we are currently going through the certification process. And with the release of 6.0, we have updated our client libraries for the database 6.0 features. We also recently released the AS Backup tool with the capability of backing up not only to the file system, but also to S3. The 6.0 release delivers a document database capability that preserves high performance at scale. The Aerospike Document API provides JSON path syntax for accessing and updating documents. This is similar to XPath for XML. The work on a powerful capability for expressions that we've done in previous releases of the server contributes to the full functionality of the Document API. 6.0 enables secondary indexes on the top level of JSON documents stored as Aerospike CDTs, and indexing through all levels of nesting will be coming in the 6.1 release, completing the JSON path document API capabilities. With the server functionality in place, we'll provide support for the document API and the client libraries for Java, C, C#, Python, Go, Rust, and the rest of the client library languages. In Aerospike Database 6.1, we're working on warm start for secondary indexes, and that basically takes the secondary index that's stored in shared memory and on the restart retrieves that index to speed up the restart process. We'll be indexing elements at all levels of nesting in CDTs in this release. That is a major milestone for the complete document API functionality in the Aerospike platform. We have a couple of initiatives around performance and scalability that we're working on. One is an async I/O approach to managing storage, and we're also working on a merger of the fabric and the service thread capabilities in the server for efficiency and performance. That is basically about combining two things: the coordination among the nodes in the cluster in terms of managing nodes coming in and out of the cluster, as well as data migration within the cluster, and combining that with the processing of transactions. For the client libraries, we'll be working on alignment of support for 6.1 for all of the clients to enable the full document API capability for all client libraries. And for tools, we're bringing out a new tool called Sizer, which is used for capacity planning for the provisioning of new clusters. We are also working on updates for the monitoring dashboards. For Aerospike Database 6.2, we'll be porting the server to the Graviton ARM platform, which is very exciting for us. This will involve code to deal with the memory model of the ARM platform. And on the tools side, we'll be releasing a point-in-time recovery system that we're working on now. Then we'll focus on the consolidation and hardening of the Graviton port, and we'll also work on porting the client libraries to Graviton ARM as well. With Aerospike Database 6.3, we'll provide the capability for secondary indexes in Flash and in PMEM. Beyond these releases on the horizon, we're looking at multi-record transactions as something that will be very important for us to productize. There are a variety of use cases which will benefit from support for multi-record transactions, including graph use cases and time series use cases. We're also looking at refactoring the info, the config, and the logging subsystems. We have in mind some performance improvements to make in the database server. For example, for replica writes, we're working on an optimization for sending deltas for the record updates instead of sending the entire records. And for XDR, we'll be working toward the same sort of approach. We will be doing a rewrite of UDFs, which refers to user-defined functions, which will allow programmers direct access to rich data type APIs. And we're also working on native aggregate functions and other optimizations for query in the future. And we'll be looking at single sign-on to potentially handle authentication to all nodes in the cluster together. We completed the release of Aerospike Kubernetes Operator 2.0 in late 2021, and in Q1 of 2022, we completed the OpenShift certification for that operator. Going forward with the Kubernetes operator, we will be supporting the management of key rotation for encryption at rest, LDAP support in the operator for user management logic, support for deployment with PMEM, and the ability to manage strong consistency namespaces. We're also working on bad rack detection and automatically detecting if a rack is unhealthy and then moving pods to other racks, if that's the case. In addition, we're working to give the database administrator the ability to disable a rack explicitly so that no pods will be scheduled in the disabled rack. For the Aerospike Connect product lines, in Q1 2022, we released the outbound transformer for outbound streaming connectors. This means that in the case where data is going from the Aerospike server to the outbound connector, that data can be transformed in the connector and then streamed out to the destination. An example of where this might be useful is for filtering out Aerospike change notification that have sensitive bins such as Social Security number. We also released the connector for Apache Spark 3.2.0 in Q1 of this year. Going forward, we are working on the Elasticsearch connector, and then later in the year, we will be working on leveraging the secondary index support and the batch writes support to optimize the performance of our Spark and Trino connectors. For Aerospike developer frameworks, we'll bring Syndex support into Spring Data and the Object Mapper. We're working on integration with IDEs, including IntelliJ, followed by integration with Visual Studio Code. We have a couple of exciting initiatives that we're working on around middleware solutions. For graph use cases today, we have a number of customers that have implemented sophisticated graph workloads on Aerospike and are running those at very large scale. And so we would like to bring that capability to all of our customers by packaging and supporting a graph implementation. We will provide graph capability first as a library at the client level, and then we will be looking at possible server optimizations that we might want to apply inside the server to promote the performance of the graph database use cases. And then perhaps bringing graph as a native data type into the server. With time series, we have deep experience from a number of customer engagements. and we will be looking at the most useful capabilities to productize for time series use cases. We are working to bring Aerospike Database as a Service to market this year. We are leveraging the Kubernetes work that we've done for orchestration and management of database clusters, and we're working to roll out a beta of the DBaaS system. Following that, we will offer a developer-oriented DBaaS in partnership with AWS. And then we will provide availability of our DBaaS service in other cloud environments as well. We are in development on an Aerospike backup application for point-in-time recovery. This application has backup metadata stored in a backup cluster, and the backup data itself is stored in an object store. With this application, a production cluster can restore data from the backup for any point in time. We have some additional areas of focus on an ongoing basis. One of them is observability and management. With this, we'll be driving toward complete management visibility on Prometheus and Grafana, enabling incremental metrics on the server and on the clients. We'll add additional alerting and additional dashboards as well. We are moving toward well-structured logs, productizing and releasing our Aerospike logs parser and Grafana dashboard. In the future, we plan to develop log integrations with Splunk and New Relic. And we're also integrating with additional frameworks through OpenTelemetry in the future. For security and compliance, we will integrate with key management systems to support key rotation. We've talked about the releases we have planned for many of the components of the Aerospike platform. And in this view, we see how the components fit together to form the Aerospike real-time data platform. The platform includes a number of components around the database, as well as the database itself. Many of the components are used to stream data in and out of the server. Other components provide SQL access to the database for ad hoc querying and data exploration. As for the Aerospike database itself, the primary capabilities are real-time transaction processing, data distribution across the nodes in the cluster, query and search capabilities, change notification for data, and cluster management to automatically reassign data partition ownership in the cluster when nodes are added or removed. We have a number of high-performance storage options, including in-memory, with the index in memory as well as data in memory. We have the hybrid memory option with index in memory and data in SSD. And then we have the all-flash configuration with index in SSD as well as data in SSD. And there's a similar option for PMEM with index and data in PMEM. On the upper left-hand side of this diagram, you can see that we have several streaming connectors. We have streaming connectors for Kafka, Pulsar, and JMS, which support both inbound and outbound streaming. And we have the ESP connector for event stream processing. The ESP connector integrates the database with HTTP-based systems. This provides support for serverless design and easy integration with HTTP-based systems either in the cloud or on-premises. On the upper right-hand side, we have SQL access connectors including Trino and Spark. The Aerospike database can be used for a number of different types of use cases. On the lower left side, we have the edge use cases illustrating that Aerospike can be the system of engagement. And it can also act as a feature store for AI ML use cases. Then over on the right-hand side, on the bottom, the Aerospike database is used by many customers as a system of record. And it is also used for AI ML training use cases. Aerospike supports a wide range of different cloud infrastructure. We work very closely with AWS, and we have a number of customers running Aerospike in the AWS infrastructure. We also have a number of customers who run in GCP as well. Thank you very much. I hope this information will prove useful to you. And